Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be talking about my reading plans and also some of my content plans for the month of July. I feel like every month there is always something new going on, whether it is new readathons or buddy reads or just ideas in general that pop up. So I do want to slow down a little bit in July, but I also kind of feel like I have a lot of ideas shooting. But all of that is just going to depend on how I'm feeling in July, if I'm feeling up to doing a lot or a little. So I'm going to be a little bit flexible with myself, but I am going to share some of the ideas that I have. I did have a lot more, but I bumped some to August. So without further ado, let me go ahead and talk about the books that I plan to read this month. First up, I have 4 buddy reads, and I think this is probably going to be the order that I read them in. So the first buddy read that I have is The Family Next Door by Sally Hepworth, and I'm going to be reading this with my friend Elizabeth.
Hello, Editing Keisha here. I have an update. Elizabeth and I actually changed our buddy read, so we are not going to be reading the Sally Hepworth book right now. We are actually going to be reading Crime and Poetry, which is a magical bookshop mystery by Amanda Flower. This is the first book in the series. I've heard great things about it. Our friend Caitlin really loves Amanda Flower, so I'm excited to give this one a try. It says, just outside Niagara Falls sits the village of Cascade Springs, New York, the home of a magical bookstore where one young woman, her feisty grandmother, and a curious tuxedo cat team up to keep crime between the pages.
The next buddy read that I have is Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. I'm going to be buddy reading this with Jessie, and this one I'm really interested in because it kind of gives me similar vibes to After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, just a little bit different. But it does follow a married couple who've kind of lost the spark in their marriage. They're approaching their 5-year wedding anniversary and they are taking a trip for that, but they're neither one very excited about it. While on this trip, they end up sitting at a hotel bar and a well-meaning guest tries to matchmake them or introduce them to each other, not realizing that they are married. And this ends up turning into a huge flirtatious game of role play that seems to reignite this spark with their relationship. That is all that I know about this one, but I really like books that explore marriage and just how real and raw it can be and how love is not always based on a feeling, that it's a choice, and I hope that that's what this takes. But yeah, I'm just really excited to kind of see where this goes. I'm very intrigued by it. I don't have the next buddy read yet because it doesn't come out until July. I believe it comes out on the 11th, and that one is You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This is one of my most anticipated romance releases of the year. I believe it is a new adult romance, and I'm going to be buddy reading this with Jordan. And I'm really excited to be buddy reading this one with her because we are going to be doing a kind of 24 to 48 hour weekend long readathon for this, for just the both of us to read this book. We're going to do reading sprints, and that's going to be a whole lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to that. So this is about a girl who, I believe her grandmother has passed away, and she finds these old pictures of her with this man that she doesn't recognize. So she ends up sharing the pictures on TikTok, I believe, to try to track down this mystery man. She ends up finding him, but he happens to be the grandfather of this guy that she's kind of a nemesis with in high school, or she was a nemesis with in high school. And so she's not super thrilled about that, but she wants to meet the grandfather, and she ends up finding out that her grandmother and that guy's grandfather were going to elope and go on this road trip together, but that never happened. So now she wants to take this road trip that her grandmother never took, and the grandfather wants to tag along with her, but he wants to take his grandson, the guy that she doesn't like, on the trip too. So this is going to be a road trip romance that I believe is also going to delve into some grief. And the last scheduled buddy read that I have for this month, not saying that any others won't pop up, but the last scheduled one that I have for the month is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I'm going to be buddy reading this with my friend Ashley, and this is a book that has been on my radar since it came out in 2018. I was really intrigued by it, but I never bought it, and then it kind of resurfaced a couple of years ago, and a lot of people really enjoyed it, so I thought it was high time that I picked this one up. Essentially, this follows our main character, Kala, and Kala, her parents were divorced, and her dad lived in Alaska, and so she's kind of estranged from her father. But now I think he's not doing so well, so she's planning to go to Alaska to visit him. And while she's there, she meets this pilot named Jonah, and I think their romance starts to kind of have similar like traits, or my words aren't coming to me, like there's just some similar things between what they're trying to make work that her parents tried to make work, and they're trying to figure out, like, is this worth a romance at all, you know? So I think it's going to have some hard-hitting subjects in there as well, but I'm really intrigued by this one. I've heard good things, so hopefully it'll be a good one. I do have a couple other romances that I'm interested in reading this month. I'm not sure if I will get to them, so these are kind of my 3 maybe romances. But the first one I want to talk about is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is another one of my most anticipated releases for the year. Probably my most anticipated, if we're being honest. I read The Dead Romantics last year and absolutely loved it. It is one of my favorite romances of all time. So I was really excited when I saw that Ashley Poston was coming out with a new one. So this one follows our main character, Clementine, and Clementine, I think, has struggled with some stuff recently, like maybe some heartbreak, and she has moved into her late aunt's apartment, and her late aunt has kind of always said that her apartment was kind of stuck in time in a way. Well, one day Clementine runs into this man standing in her kitchen in her apartment one day, but he's actually not in her kitchen. He is 7 years in the past. Like, he's not currently there, he's there 7 years in the past. So there's this weird gap of time there where they're both there, but he was actually there 7 years ago and she's there now. I'm not really sure how that works. It's weird, but it sounds also really intriguing because obviously there's going to be a potential romance. So I'm really excited for this one. It's a very interesting concept. Then I have one of my new favorite authors, Sarah Adams. This is The Cheat Sheet. I don't really know a lot about this one except that it's a sports romance, and it will be my first sports romance if I end up picking this one up. It follows a ballerina who, I think she has been injured, and so now she just teaches ballet, and then a football player, and I don't really know anything else about it. I don't even remember what type of romance. I think it's fake dating, and I'm not sure if I love fake dating, but it's also, okay, maybe it's not fake dating, or maybe it's both. It says friends to lovers, so I don't know. Sounds good. It's not like the first one that I would have picked up by her, but I'm going to pick up all of Sarah Adams' books at this point. So I may read this one this month, but if I don't, I may end up reading the second book in the, I don't remember what the series is called, something in Nashville. But the first book is The Off Limits Rule, which was my first Sarah Adams that I read last month, and I absolutely loved it. The second book is The Temporary Roomie, so I may buddy read that with some friends, just depending on when they get to it. So it just depends on if it's going to be that one or if it's going to be The Cheat Sheet. And the last romance option that I have is if I'm going to participate in this particular readathon. So my friend Gwen has a Patreon for her podcast, Talk Bookish to Me, and she hosts like these 24 or 48 hour readathons every month. And this month it's going to be, or maybe it's not every month, but every little, I think they're seasonal. But this month it is going to be a Christmas in July theme. So I would like to get to at least one Christmas book so I have a little bit more to talk about come that season, like that I've already read. But I also know that I'm going to be in the mood for like more summery reads. So I do have one book on my list that would fill all the prompts. Again, this is a Patreon exclusive readathon for my friend Gwen's Patreon. But I think the reading prompts are to read a book with snow on the cover, to read a book you meant to read last year, and a book that is like a holiday read. So this fits all three, and this will be the one I try to read. It is one of my favorite authors, Courtney Walsh. This is Merry Xmas, and I don't know a lot about this one except that it is a second chance romance and also fake dating. This woman is coming back to, I don't know if it's her hometown. She's traveling back to her hometown to try to become the permanent host of Good Day Denver. And when she comes home for Christmas, she finds her ex is like at her parents' house. He's like a guest at her mom's. And her mom had a lot more trouble letting him go than she did. And so now I think something happens where people see them together and viewers really like seeing them together. So as part of her trying to get this position on Good Day Denver, she fake dates her ex, who obviously like wants to win her back. So this is a second chance romance. I love Courtney Walsh. I love that she writes really clean, wholesome romances. So I definitely want to get to this one this year, whether it's Christmas in July or Christmas in December. I may also end up doing a romance vlog if I do read those three romances or two of them. I did do a romance vlog last month and I enjoyed that, so that is a possibility for this month. Next up, I have a couple of ARCs. The first one is Saving Chupi, and I have this one on NetGalley. It comes out on August 1st, so I want to go ahead and read it before it comes out so I can kind of hype it up. But all that I know about this one is that it is a middle grade graphic novel, and it follows this family who are trying to save this Chupacabra from poachers. It sounds really good. I'm kind of interested in the concept of like chupacabras. There's also a Netflix movie out called Chupa that I'm interested in watching. So I don't know, like I'm just intrigued by chupacabras right now. So that's kind of why I'm interested in this book. The next arc that I have is a physical copy that I have. I also have this on NetGalley just because I'm going to leave a review there as well. But this is Lindsay Curry's upcoming new release, It Found Us, and it comes out on September 5th. I would like to go ahead and get to this one early as well. Lindsay Curry is really well known for spooky middle grade, like heartwarming horror. So if that sounds up your alley, this may be a good one. This is definitely her creepiest cover yet, which really intrigues me because I want a little bit more spooky in my books. But this follows a girl detective who must decode a series of ominous clues tied to a century-old tragedy in order to find a missing teenager before it's too late. I am going to read the back of this one just because like that's all I really know about this book, and I keep like avoiding the synopsis, but just in case any of you guys are curious. 12-year-old Hazel Woods has always had an unusual knack for sleuthing. Some may call it snooping, but all she really wants is to solve mysteries around town. So when she not so accidentally overhears her brother Den planning to sneak into the cemetery at night for an epic game of hide and seek, she decides to secretly tag along. This seems like the perfect opportunity to investigate the claims that the cemetery is haunted. But the moment the game ends, Hazel realizes something is very, very wrong. From her hiding spot in the bushes, she overhears that her brother's best friend, Everett, is missing. Everyone else is found by the seeker, but there's no sign of Everett anywhere. It's as if he just vanished. Hazel and Den are determined to find Everett, but as they begin to unravel the terrifying clues that have been appearing since that night in the graveyard, eerie whispers that sound like someone counting, the intermittent smell of smoke, and the cold, lost presence that follows them everywhere, she's not sure what they are dealing with. Everett needs more than search parties and scent-tracking dogs to find him, especially if his disappearance is tied to the history of the cemetery and the lost spirits that might still be trapped there. So this one, at least initially, sounds like the main character Hazel is a little bit like Harriet the Spy, but also it just sounds really spooky and interesting that this kid vanished, and they're going to go into like the history of the cemetery, which Lindsay Curry always weaves some history of like local legends and lore or different things in her books, and this does, I believe, take place in Chicago. A lot of her books, or most of her books do. She does live in Chicago, and I think one of her books doesn't take place in Chicago, but the girl in the book was from there. So either way, if this sounds at all interesting, I think this could be a really good spooky middle grade. I also may end up doing an ARC vlog, so if I do that, I will share that as well. I have a few different vlog ideas. I just don't know that I'm going to do all of them. It's just going to depend on like how much I feel like filming, so that's why I'm just going to mention it, and then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But either way, it still might be exciting. So I do have 3 more books here I want to talk about, and these would also be for a vlog. So I really want to do a summer cozies vlog because I really have been enjoying cozy mysteries this year, and I have a few summer ones I want to read. So the first one, which I actually don't even know if it takes place in the summer, but it looks like it, and all these books have been summery for me so far. It is Murder Off the Books by Tamara Berry. This is my current favorite cozy mystery author and cozy mystery series. This is the By the Book mystery series, and the first book was Buried in the Good Book. This is the 3rd one, and I'm really excited about this one. I can't really tell you a lot about this particular book, but the first book follows our main character, Tess Harrow, who is a thriller writer, and she and her daughter, Gertie, you guys have probably heard me talk about this 1,000 times, but she and her daughter, Gertie, are moving into her late grandfather's cabin in Winthrop, Washington, and as they come in, there's this explosion and fish guts, and an arm falls out of the sky, and a mystery ensues from there. It is such a good, humorous, lighthearted, cozy. I love it so much. It is like, to me, elite. Like the series is elite in cozy mysteries. It just feels a little bit different. It hits a little bit different. So I'm very excited to jump into book 3. The next cozy that I have is Get Away with Murder by Diane Kelly. The thing that intrigues me about this one the most is that it is set in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so this is the Mountain Lodge Mysteries. It says, as if hitting the half-century mark wasn't enough, Misty Murphy celebrated her landmark birthday by amicably ending her marriage and investing her settlement in a dilapidated mountain lodge at the top of the Blue Ridge Mountains. With the old inn teetering on both a bluff and bankruptcy, she must have lost her ever-loving mind. Luckily, handyman Rocky Crowder has a knack for rehabbing virtual ruins and for doing it on a dime. And to Misty's delight, the lodge is fully booked on opening night, every room filled with flexible folks who'd slipped into spandex and ascended the peak for a yoga retreat with plans to namaste for a full week. Misty and her guests are feeling zen, at least until the yoga instructor is found dead. they kill her on the loose and the lodge's reputation hanging in the balance, Misty must put her detective skills to the test. Only one thing is as clear as a sunny mountain morning. She must solve the crime before the lodge ends up once again on the brink. And the last summer cozy that I have is Still Knife Painting by Cheryl Holland. This is the first book in the Paint and Shine mystery series. After inheriting her uncle's Red River Gorge homestead in eastern Kentucky, smack dab in the middle of the Daniel Boone National Forest, Miranda comes up with a perfect business plan for summer tourists, pairing outdoor painting classes with sips of local moonshine, followed by a mouthwatering sampler of the best in Southern cooking. To Miranda's delight, Paint and Shine is a total success, until someone kills the cook. As the town's outsider, suspicion naturally falls on Miranda. Murdering the best biscuit baker of Red River Gorge is a high crime in these parts. Miranda will have to prove her innocence before she's moved from farmhouse to jail cell faster than she can say white lightning. So again, I am hoping to do a summer cozies vlog for those books. Now, in regards to any other vlogs that I may do or videos that I may do, right now I only have 2 planned. My first one that I plan on doing is my June wrap up, just to let you guys know what I read in the month of June and what I thought about all those reads. And then my other one I kind of want to save as a little bit of a surprise, but it is a book recommendations video, but it's just with a little bit of a twist. I don't want to reveal that now, but that one will for sure be coming later this month. So I believe I covered everything there. Like I said, I do have some other ideas, but it's just going to depend on where I'm at this month, how busy I am, and how much I get done. But I'm very excited to hopefully read all of these books, but if not, at least quite a few of them. So if you have made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave an American flag emoji down in the comments, because the one thing I think about in July is the 4th of July, Independence Day holiday. So I feel like that's the only thing that fits. Maybe if you don't want to leave that, you can leave the firework emoji or something like that, because that's, again, what I think of when I think of July. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, friends.